This news update is brought to you by This is the 6 p.m. Barbados Today update for Tuesday, August 12, 2014. I'm Don Parris. Good evening. We begin with an update on this morning's wounding and attempted suicide in Parris Hill, St. Joseph. Family members of 27-year-old Margaret Christopher, who was attacked, are reporting that she remains in stable but serious condition at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Her sister Velma Phillips tells Barbados Today that Christopher received 2 slashes, one across her throat and another from ear to mouth, by her attacker with whom she shares a 6-year-old son. But she says they're no longer in a relationship. Christopher is expected to undergo surgery this evening. The incident took place around 7:15 a.m. as Christopher got off the bus on her way to work. The man, who's also warded at the hospital, has wounds to both wrists, which police believe were self-inflicted. He remains under police guard. His name has not yet been released, but Inspector David Welch says investigations continue into the incident. Meantime, another wanted man has turned himself in. Kemal Yard, alias Mali, 24 years old, of 1st Avenue, Long Gap, Spooners Hill, St. Michael, surrendered to police today in the company of his lawyer. He's assisting police in connection with a very serious criminal matter. Not in Barbados. Senior Government Minister Donville Inniss says he won't support any 2-term limit for prime ministers, and he's also against any system that allows for the recall of legislators who don't perform. The measures were among several passed in the Trinidad and Tobago Parliament early this morning as part of a constitutional amendment bill. Legislators in Port of Spain also agreed to a runoff in a general election if a successful candidate fails to secure 50% of the votes cast. Inniss says he has difficulty supporting the measures, although he's all for limiting the powers of prime ministers within the Westminster system.
I subscribe to the view that if an individual is making an excellent contribution to national development, you should not discard that individual like that. So because you may have served 2 terms, this is 8 years, not a long time, it doesn't mean that you therefore must be put out the pasture. And sometimes you may say, well, let us go with term limits, oblivious to the fact that term limits may then impose upon society, political organizations, parliaments, and governments a very substandard system that doesn't allow the best to either emerge or stay at the top.
Meantime, the DLP will revisit its selection process for political candidates. A resolution to that effect will go before the party's 59th Annual General Conference, which begins on Friday. While General Secretary Donville Inniss makes it clear that the ruling party does not have a problem with its past crop of candidates, he says going forward, politicians must show commitment and substance.
The matters that we have to address frontally, such as ensuring that those who seek to offer themselves have a good understanding of the history of the Democratic Labour Party, that they are committed to the party, just show a level of commitment, that they really have something of substance to offer. We've always offered quality people to the electorate over there, but we want to strengthen the process to ensure that there's a training program for those who come forward to seek to be candidates, that there's strong consultation with the constituency branches in terms of candidate selection. The Democratic Labour Party is not going to have a challenge finding quality candidates, but we want to make sure that wherever possible we can strengthen them.
33 people have been added to the island's pool of justices of the peace. The men and women took the oath of office today at the residence of Governor General Sir Elliot Belgrave. Among them are several well-known faces, including former Deputy Commissioner of Police Bertie Hines, personal assistant to the Minister of Finance Melanie Calendar Ford, politician Patrick Tannis, entrepreneur Shelley Williams, and Ram Merchandani, the husband of businesswoman Asha Merchandani, who's also known as Miss Ram.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Get your sun power.
The Caribbean is being urged to be vigilant and prepared for the potential introduction of the Ebola virus. That health bulletin from the Pan American Health Organization as the virus continues to spiral out of control in West Africa. PAHO says the region must be prepared to detect, investigate and manage Ebola cases, as well as provide nationals who are traveling to Ebola-affected and at-risk areas with relevant information and measures on how to minimize risks. But it recommends that the Caribbean not impose any general ban on international travel or trade. PAHO's advice comes on the heels of the World Health Organization declaring the Ebola outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. Meantime, the WHO has given doctors the green light to use untested drugs to treat Ebola patients. The medical experts decided that it was ethical to use these drugs in light of the scale of the outbreak and the high death toll in West Africa. Reports say 2 American missionaries received the untried serum called ZMapp and are recovering, but a third person, a Spanish priest, was not so lucky. 2 doctors are next in line to be treated with the serum, but officials have warned that there are very limited supplies for potential treatments. Over 1,000 people have died from the Ebola virus. And that's where we end the 6 p.m. Barbados Today update. We'll be back again at 7 tomorrow morning. Until then, remember to log on to www.barbadostoday.bb, subscribe to our e-paper and our email updates, and like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you to get all the latest news and sports. I'm Dawn Parris. Have a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow morning at 7.
This news update is brought to you by